The protocol is observed. Good evening. Yes, it is happening. Okay. So, before we start, let me welcome the academic director of the seminar to open this session with an opening prayer.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Glory be to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh Lord, we continue to thank you for this beautiful day you have given us. And as we are entering the second session of this very day, we continue to ask you to give us the power of the Holy Spirit, so that He will continue to enlighten us in this sharing, so that we may continue to be empowered for the sake of evangelization. We make our prayers through Christ our Lord. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Good evening once again.
Good afternoon.
Before I welcome our moderator, I would like to welcome you back again for this second session, whereby we shall be having two themes be discussed. This time, the first theme will be on the contribution of the church in the African social cultural areas. That will be presented by Reverend Father Chipondo. And the second will be presented by Sister Dr. Sophia. The theme is on education for self-reliance and formation for seminarians and religions. So, when they will be coming here to present, now everyone shall have 1 hour. So the timekeeper will be reminding you 15 minutes before the bell shall be rung to alert you that you have gone 1/3 of the time, 2/3 of the time, and 10 minutes before you'll be reminded so as to start your conclusions. Then 5 minutes before your time. Therefore, I take this juncture to welcome our moderator to give us what is going on.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Throughout history, and especially in these parts of the world, the church has been instrumental in bringing about changes. Taking an example of Tanzania, the church is credited, though not said, for many things. Like the first primary school, or the first school in Tanzania, in Tanzania, was built by missionaries. But no one will tell you about that one. So also our hospitals, training institutes, and all the like. And before even the University of Dar es Salaam was started, Bishop Bromishus and wanted to establish a university at Nige's site, the government could not allow you. But they will never tell you about this. So there are so many examples of churches' involvement in aspects, various aspects in human life: social, cultural, economic, political, and all the like. Now, Father Chipondo wants to address or to share with us some of these contributions the church has had on our society, or in our society. So we are assessing the contribution of the church in Africa in addressing social, cultural issues. And this is the reflection. Now, who is Father Carol Chipondo? The front here will tell us, will introduce us. Father Carol Chipondo. Thank you.
To address Reverend Father Carol Michael Chipondo. Reverend Father Chipondo is a Catholic priest of the Diocese of Kondoa, Tanzania, was ordained to priesthood in 2016. Actively engaged in church's apostolate as a formator and a celebrated narrator in spiritual theology and African traditional religion, ATR, at Holy Family National Major Seminary, Mundahulika. Obtained the Masters of Arts in the Theology of Culture, a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy and Theology. Also, Father Chipondo is a doctoral candidate at Cardinal Stefan University in Warsaw, Poland. But furthermore, he's doing the Masters at the Open University of Tanzania in Governance and Leadership. Reverend Father Chipondo has several publications, some of them being assessing the contribution of the local government in empowering women economically. The second is the relationship between the living and the living dead among the Gogo people of Dodoma in relation to the Catholic doctrine of the communion of saints. So today, Reverend Father Chipondo will share with us his work, especially on the given theme, the contribution of the church in African social, cultural areas. Therefore, we humbly welcome you, Reverend Father Chipondo, to work out this discourse.
Dear Father Honest Buba, our academic director of the seminary, on behalf of the lecturer not present, dear presenters present, we are together from morning, and those who joined us this evening, special sister, welcome. Dear commenters present, my fellow students and seminarians, dear ladies and gentlemen, following us online through this Parapara online TV. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I want to say again, I said in the morning during Mass that I feel honored and humbled to have this section with you. This very important year, the year of celebrating Accidental Jubilee in this our media seminar. When I was thinking what to share, I came with this idea. Of course, after discussing with many people who are involved in education, so I tried to see the contribution of the church in addressing, I call them social cultural activities, because there are many. Our moderator just mentioned them here: education, health, and other activities. But particularly, I decided that we reflect on the issue of academic institutions. I'm going to talk about academic institutions. It's a bit wide, but I hope the issues will be related. Starting from kindergarten, primary schools, secondary schools, we have universities, and also we have seminaries, the major seminaries and the minor seminaries. All of them, I call them institutions within the church. So this is what I'm going to share with you this evening. So from the title itself for the theme, the contribution of the church in Africa in addressing these social cultural activities, but particularly now in Tanzania. So the outline of our presentation, our sharing will be like this. The first one, we have a kind of introduction and some definition of some technologies. After that, we look at the historical background of the Catholic education institution in Tanzania. Try to see, since the church or the first missionaries came to Tanzania, at that time, Tanganyika and Zanzibar, up to the present, what was the development, what the history, and how it started. But also we try to see the contribution now of the church, or what are the contribution the church has brought in our education system in Tanzania. Our moderator just mentioned that the church has contributed a lot, especially in education. We have the examples maybe there where we're coming from, where the evangelization took place, especially the missionaries. They are going with education, health, and also baptizing. So we see how they contributed, but also we try to see I call them contemporary challenges that are affecting the Catholic education system at the moment. There are some challenges. I said contemporary because we have now these challenges, and in fact they are affecting. I come with this why because you see, in providing education, not the Catholic Church only. We have other organizations or other denominations, or even the public schools. Those are coming up. So these challenges probably they will hinder, or they will bring back our efforts on providing this very important service to the community. And lastly, we seek a conclusion In conclusion, is a kind of summarizing what we say. We say, and also with some points, a kind of recommendation or suggestion. With those points worked on, the presenter is convinced that will help to take the church very far. We have come very far, but we need to go very far in terms of providing good service to the community. But lastly, I will share with you a clip which is trying to, a kind of motivation or a kind of, trying to give some insights on how, if you are not tackling those challenges, or we are not working on those, probably after a time, that's what we are used to hear, that the church is providing good service in terms of education. Maybe after a time, we made it in history. Why? Because there's so many people who are now providing, maybe competing, or maybe trying to see what we are producing, or what extra are we giving to the society in terms of education in our schools. So this will be the outline of the presentation, what we go through. Now, before we continue, I want to share with you, when we talk about the church, what is the church? Maybe someone is here in the church, we think of the buildings, or we think about the structures, or the leadership. But what is the church? St. Paul, on his letter to the Corinthians, first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, trying to give us insight on what is the church. And it says, the church as the body is one, though it has many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, are one body. So also Christ. For in one spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, slaves or free persons, and we are all given drink one of one spirit. So this is the understanding, or you want us to give this insight on the top of the church. It goes a bit wide, or it goes a bit far. Not only thinking about the church as an institution or the church as with the structures. But here now we will be looking going far. And that's why on giving service you find the church is not dealing with the, let's say, the Christians or the baptized only. It goes far because of this understanding, of this wide understanding. So, according to this understanding of Paul, we see some points where Paul wants us to get. When we are talking about the church, we talk about the unity in diversity. That the work of the church, it must unite people. In that unity in diversity, meaning that you deal with people how they are, but they be united. And a good example is our church in Tanzania. This is all people with their diversity of culture, or traditions, diversity of the religions. But still, we are united. That's the church. Whatever beliefs they have, whatever religion they have, but still, when we come to giving service, the church is uniting us without looking those kind of diversity. So, this is what Paul is talking. That's why Paul is mentioning the Jews, the Greeks, is mentioning of the slaves, is mentioning of the free persons. This is the understanding whereby when the church is giving services, whatever the church is looking on that. And that is the understanding of the church, and that was the understanding that when the church was coming, even the first missionaries, when they are coming in Africa, especially in Tanzania. Also, St. Paul is mentioning of Christ as the head. Christ as the head. In that unity, in diversity, in that which we have as diversity, with the head, the church, the class. Who is leading the church? Is class. Who is the model of our service? Who is the model of what we are doing as a church? Is class. That's why Paul is mentioned. But also Paul is talking about this reality is the spiritual reality. Spiritual reality is much concerned of the spiritual reality. That the church has a spiritual reality. But also we have another definition coming from the Ecclesia in Africa. He's talking about the church as a family of God, or the body of Christ. That's the church, the family. And we also talk about the family in African understanding. I think it goes far than father, mother, and children. It goes far. So in African way of understanding the church, we talk of a family. In a family, we put many people. In a family, there are many people. Some maybe some with their problems, but they are within the family. Maybe some, they have special needs, they are within the family. So that's why this ecclesia in Africa is expanding the meaning or the understanding of the church. Therefore, when the church is real, the church, what's that? When a church is real, the church with a small letter, with the church with capital letter. And what I mean here is that when a church, particular church, let's say the Catholic Church or the other denomination, or a church is really a church, it must unite. It must accommodate and act as a mother and teacher. And this is what the church in Africa is doing. Uniting, accommodating, and act as a mother and a teacher. Where we are giving our service to the community, especially the Tanzanians. Now, after seeing the church, so in our discussion, even in our question here, try to get that wider knowledge. Don't think it particular that the Catholic Church, but go wide thinking of the church. Now, when you come back now, talking about what makes a school or a university a Catholic institution? What is that? And if you put it another way, what differentiates a Catholic school and other schools, or public school, or other denomination, or other even private school? What differentiates? Is that maybe because we are putting on the walls? Maybe no. St. John Paul II, on his document called the Ecclesia, number 4, is saying a Catholic school or university is distinguished by its free search for the whole truth about nature, man, and God. That is what differentiates the Catholic school. That's seeking for the truth. Truth about nature, about man, and about God. That's what we find in our systems. That understanding must be there. It's not only what we are providing. It's not only that the students will even kindergarten, they can speak English, so they can do very good mathematics. But are we on the line of seeking the truth? Are we on the line of looking about the nature, man, and God? Oh, what's the idea of are we having those schools? So it must be that we are teaching the truth. We are imparting the truth about man, nature, man, and God. This is what John Paul II is talking on his document. There are other documents also within the church which try to give an insight how our institutes must be. There are so many you can try to see them. The first document, which was given by St. John Paul II on October 28, 1964, he said, Simon Educationis. If you read this document, you find it's giving how this educational systems or education institution in the church must operate. It must follow that. If it does not follow that, then it's not a Catholic institute. It must operate in that way. But also we have the second document written by Apostolic Constitution of the Supreme Court of John Paul II that time, because Sapientia. I think it's okay, thank you. So this also is giving an insight. Please, if you have time, you just pass them. It's giving an insight how our institutions must be. But also, this document I've said is the Apostolic Constitution of the Supreme Court. Also, John Paul II was talking about the education. Also, we have the Catholic school, written 19 March 1977. Also, here we have lay Catholics in schools, witnesses to faith, written on 15 October 1982. We have education guidance in human love, outline for sex education, written on 1st of November 1983. Also, we have the religious dimension of education in a Catholic school, written on 7th April 1988. Also, we have the Catholic school on the three halls of the third millennium, written on 28th December 1997. Also have consecrated persons and their mission in schools. Reflection on guidelines, written on 28th October 2002. Also have several letters on the religious education in schools, written on May 5th of May 1990. Also, 2009. Also have the other documents, as you can see here, education together in Catholic schools. Also have educating to intercultural dialogue in Catholic schools, living in harmony for a civilization of love, written 19 December 2013. We have educating today and tomorrow, a renewing passion, written in 2014, educating to fraternal humanism, building a civilization of love, 50 years after Populonum Progressio, written in April 16, 2017. Also have male and female, he created them towards a path of dialogue on the question of gender theory in education. Written in February, 2nd February 2019. Also have the identity of the Catholic school for a culture of dialogue. Written on 25th January 2022. Also have Love School. I Love School, address of Pope Francis, written on 10th of May 2014. We have the teaching in a beauty profession. No, a teaching is a beauty profession, address of Pope Francis, written in March, 14th March 2015. We have the Libertatis Gaudium, written on 29 January 2018. We have Global Compact on Education, written on 12 September 2019. I've just been through all these documents to see that how the church is trying to give a direction. No, have been trying to give a direction to see how our education institutions must be like. That this is the direction of the church, and this is the identity, like I said. And this we can say that is what has kept the church for long. That where can we get a good education in the Catholic schools? But are we still on that line? That was my question when I was preparing this course. Are we still on that line? Are we still reading in the society? Or other institutions are coming up, beating us. That's why I came with this, trying to get a direct with education and to see how we can remain on the stage in terms of giving this education, in terms of giving good services in the society. But in order to remain there, we must remain on the values and norms and the directions of the church, what the church wants us to be. After seeing that, I want to talk about a little bit about Tanzania. I want to talk about Tanzania before we go to the history of Christianity in Tanzania. We see it's not very much visible, but this map of Tanzania, you see, we are bordering so many countries. The northern part we have Kenya, we have Uganda, we have Rwanda, there we have Congo DRC, we have Burundi, we have here we have Zambia, we have Malawi, we have Mozambique, we have Indian Ocean. This is Tanzania. And within Tanzania, the fact of Tanzania is that we have so many communities. So many communities. Always say ethnic groups within the same country. We say there are more than 120. These are so many diversity, can you say? And where now, there is where church now is operating. And even the mission when they come, they find that kind of diversity. So many communities, so many people. But Tanzania, among the countries that mentioned there, is still a country whereby we enjoy peace. Enjoy peace. That is reality. Because where you are free. Last week I was one of the countries. You find there, like here we find maybe soldiers guiding us so that we can conduct this event. But first we have peace. And yes, when people are reflecting are saying that this peace, yes, which is true. Maybe the founders of the church, how they modeled us, especially our former president. And the ideology of Jama. That's why we are brothers and sisters. This is Ndugu. It's true. Also the language. I mentioned the language. But in my question I found that also the church is contributing a lot. And this is true. Other denominations or other churches, but also the Catholic Church. This kind of unity, which I said at the beginning, unity in diversity. And a good example here. We are from almost all the corners of Tanzania, and we are still together. In peace. So then we don't even ask much about someone who is sitting near to you. Because but I say that the church also is contributing a lot. Because of that kind of understanding of the church, that the church is wider. If you go other countries, maybe it's not the same. It's true, it's not the same. If you want to make a same plan, maybe be a same for what else? Let's say maybe Tabora. You have to make a same plan. The other there. But for you come, what that idea of keeping us together is bringing unity. And that unity goes within the church. One of the things, when you go out there, people talking about the church in Tanzania is unity. That we have so many diversity, it could be not even possible, like today, to sit together like now, because of that very much diversity. But we are able to do that because also the church has contributed a lot. So, another aspect on our country, that the country is not that a country with no religion or no any affiliation of religion. But the constitution, Tanzania, is acknowledging and protecting actually the issue of worship. Is recognizing, is protecting, and very much looking at that in a very close, that people are free to worship. People are free to exercise their relationship to God, whether Catholic or other denomination or even the traditional religions. They have that freedom. So this is the church. Maybe not the same to other all the world. But here we have that which we call that freedom of worship, very much protected. So when you look at the church in Tanzania, we have already celebrated 150 years jubilee of her existence. Already we have celebrated. Now we cannot say that the church in Africa in Tanzania is still young, not young. Miaka 150 ni mingi ya kutosha. So later we are somewhere. We have 40 bishops now. I think I'm not on more priests, more than 1,000 or 2,000 priests, more. But also we have many congregations, religious congregations, men and women. So during this time, all these years of existence, there has been a very close cooperation. Very close cooperation. As I said from the beginning, cooperation in giving, cooperation between the government and the Catholic Church of Tanzania, government of Tanzania Church, in addressing these social cultural activities. I say cooperation, I didn't use that term. How the church is cooperating and coming together so that to bring this service. And in fact, from our independence, this is what was known and still known our great enemies, we call them. Ignorance, disease, and poverty. This is what the church and the government is dealing together. In dealing those, we call them enemies. Fighting together in a way of cooperation. So the year 1878 marks marks the beginning. Those who are looking for the history find this is the time when the first missionary came to Bagamoyo. In one of the presenters in the morning of the Evangelization. These were particularly the White Fathers, the Old Ghost Fathers, and the Benedictines. They landed in Bagamoyo, and when they came, the gate at that time was that there was the issue of slave trade. Many people were transported as slaves. So the first contribution was to set up those, to make the slaves free. So from there, one of the nation from there, those were the first Christians. So those entered the church at the beginning. Those were the first Christians, and also those were the first co-workers of the missionaries, as translators, and also as catechists. They were teaching education. That marks the beginning. So after that, what they started, the missionaries was that they started, apart from teaching them, baptizing them, also they started now small schools teaching people how to read, how to count, and the other one how to read, how to count, and how to write. That's the first. The missionary started that. So you see that the contribution. And then someone was mentioned that from there now they started, when the church was now spread to other parts of Tanzania, that's what they are going together. The idea was you go to the Catholic parish now, you find their school is a dispenser. That interior there. So this was a very big contribution. Before those schools they came to some of the schools were taken by the government, when the government now was ready to run those schools. Most of the schools were taken back to the. Now I want to go back to go directly to the challenges as the time is running out. So the challenges. In my discussion and looking, I see the first challenge the church is facing is the financial issues. This is the first challenge. Financial issues. Why? Because in the church you have this, what was called subsidized for loan. Now it's getting down. So this is the big challenge. How is the church prepared for that? To tackle that issue. I was reading one of the reflections from the bishops. And they say, actually they wrote, I hope I'll get it here. They have started fundraising for the major seminaries. It's called what? Yes. That the bishops launched when they were, I think in Iringa, they said that they have started a fund. And this fund is a sustainability fund which will help the seminaries, major seminaries in the future. This is one of the strategies trying to face this issue of the problem of finance. As we are going on, those subsidies from home is going down. Also, the international donors or the international organization helping the church also is decreasing day after day. Not at a time where the church will be. So this is what the questions we must see and see how we survive another time to come. Also the issue of vocation boom. Say I usually call vocation boom. You go there, most of the seminary you find there is a lot of vocation in Tanzania. But how many to receive those vocations? You find there's a problem. Some of them they don't get the space. This is within the major seminaries. So, as a church now, how are we prepared for that? Because this, maybe in future, they will not be like the same. And we still need we still need priests. But also have the lack of qualified personnel in our schools, because for us to maintain our principles and norms, also we must have well-qualified personnel, the teachers and those who are running those our institutions. Also have the issue of proper use of ICT. I say proper use. It is there used when you talk about the phones, we talk about the computers, we have them, they are using them. But you still have the problem of using those proper. Why? Because they are not regulated as our maybe values and norms we are looking for. So if there is no proper use of those, they distort. In the seminar, we have that problem, which most of them we are addressing. Even the bishops has addressed that kind of usage. Thank you. The last challenge I want to look is the challenge of infrastructures. I think that one is visible in our institutions. You find most of our buildings were put those days, maybe 100 years or 100 years past. But how are we prepared to go about or to maintain those structures or to put new structures? That's why the church must think about that. And find sometimes there are challenges. When you talk about maybe the classes, the lecture rooms, the dormitories, they are put in those days. But how the church is preparing for that, especially in the future. No, and the conclusion, to summarize, I say that as the church, for the church or the institution of the church to maintain our standards, the first one, we must keep our values and norms. That's the first thing. Therefore, the document they were giving, but also must have cultivate a culture of transparency, accountability, and stewardship. Those very important. Accountability on our institutions. To put things very clearly so that they will attract people to come in our schools because we are transparent. We are accountability. We have that accountability. Also, proper use of IT technologies, as I said, and build a strong relationship between the parents, local communities, and stakeholders to improve our cultural education institutions. Thank you. Now, as I said, I will share with you this inspiration is well known, but it has some insights of what I've just shared with you. Thank you very much.
Don't be a parrot in life. A parrot talks way too much, but can't fly high. But an eagle is silent and has the willpower to touch the sky. Here's the 7 mentalities that we can learn from an eagle. Number 1, eagles fly alone at high altitude. Eagles don't fly with sparrows, ravens, and other small birds, meaning stay away from narrow-minded people, those that bring you down. Eagles fly with eagles. There's a saying that goes like this: people you hang around will eventually determine the person you become. Keep good company. Number 2, eagles have vision. They have the ability to focus on something as far as 5 kilometers away. No matter what the obstacles, the eagle will not move his focus from the prey until he grabs it. meaning have a vision and remain focused in your life. No matter what the obstacles and challenges you may face, don't give up and you will succeed. Number 3, eagles are fearless. An eagle will never surrender to the size or strength of its prey. It will always get a fight to win its prey or regain its territory, meaning no matter what the size or big your problems are, don't give up. Instead, face it. Successful people are fearless. They face problems head on. Number 4, eagles are tenacious. Eagles love storm. When clouds gather, the eagles get excited. The eagles use the storm wind to lift themselves higher. Once it finds the wind of the storm, the eagles use the raging storm to lift itself above the clouds. This gives the eagle the opportunity to glide and rest its wings. In the meantime, all the other birds hide in the branches and leaves of the tree, meaning achievers are not afraid of challenges. Rather, they relish in them and use them for profitability.
Thank you. Culture is a very patient fact. So thank you, Father, for your... There is a follow-up here. Is it yours? No. From the town. Now, I follow questions for Father. Father's Spondo and Father Missionary will come after Sister has presented a talk, and then we'll combine all the questions together for the sake of time. Now, we at the seminary here, we know there's a number of activities here. But those are in line with what, as I said, I told you in the morning, what Nyerere had as a philosophy of education for self-reliance. And unfortunately nowadays we have education for employment. So we have a problem with that one. Everyone is joining university for the hope of being employed. So the moment they are not employed, they are left hanging and frustrated. Now, Sister will want to share with us what she has done on education for self-reliance. That means you are being educated and you use that education for your own sustenance. And if at all, you employ yourself, first and foremost. Now, allow me to ask the father here to introduce Sister Sophia Kubije for the next talk. Okay.
Sister Dr. Sophia Behide is a Catholic nun of the Congregation of the Daughters of Mary. Obtained the doctorate of education in curriculum and instruction from Loyola University, Chicago, USA in 2010. Masters of Science in Analytical Chemistry from the same university in 2005. Also, Sister Dr. Sophia has been actively involved in the apostolate of the church in the first an internal computer lab from 1998 to 2001. Second, chemist laboratory assistant in Madonna University, Livonia, Michigan, USA, from 1998 to 2001. She has also been a chemistry tutor in Madonna University, Livonia, Michigan, USA, from 1998 to 2001. She has also been the advisor in Computer Laboratory, Loyola University, Chicago, USA, from 2003 to 2010. Also, she was a tutor in Loyola University, Chicago, USA, from 2003 to 2010. She has also been a lecturer in Truman Community College, Chicago, USA, from 2010 to 2011. But also, she has been a visiting lecturer at St. Mary's College, Notre Dame, Indiana, USA, from 2011 to 2012. Again, she is a lecturer at Amukta, Tabora, from 2013 up to date. That is Sister Dr. Sophia. But why is Sister Sophia going to share with us on self-reliance? Sister Dr. Sophia has participated in many projects for the economic development of her congregation and of the church at large. One of them being the construction of the huge pond for the rice irrigation projects at Italia. So, due to this, she has every reason to stand before us and share with us on the theme on self-reliance. Thank you.
Sister Dr. Sophia, you are welcome.
Temos teknolojisi zinasumbua. Waheshimiwa mapadri, waheshimiwa wa seminari, tumsifuni Yesu Kristo. Habari za jioni. Hongereni kwa kongamano hili ambalo ni la pekee sana kweli. So after saying that, I would like maybe to talk a little bit about education for self-reliance. before I proceed, probably maybe I would like to have an introduction of what I'm going to talk about. First of all, we'll try to look at the meaning of education for self-reliance, and then we'll try to see the origin of education for self-reliance and aims of education for self-reliance, and also implementation of education for self-reliance in Tanzania. And so in this case, we try to look at the implementation of education for self-reliance in Tanzania, and how do we make a connection between education for self-reliance in Tanzania and also in our commission and process, especially to the seminarians and also religious groups. And also, we try to look at the recommendation of education for self-reliance as a memory for 100 years of this seminar. Now, let us try to look at the meaning of education for self-reliance. So this is a type of education that focuses on building knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that empower greater independence and satisfaction in daily living. So when we talk about ESR, it's a type of education sometimes which we know, but this type of education focuses on building knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that empower greater independence and satisfaction in the daily living. Are we happy with the education? When you talk about ESR, are you happy with the education which you are getting? Are you satisfied with it? Is it empowering you or not? So this is more about the meaning of education for ESR. It also focuses on building self-confidence, independence, responsibilities, democratic involvement, and power to pivot at will when faced with challenging and uncertain times. So there's self-confidence. Do we own this knowledge? The ownership of knowledge. Do we have confidence with what we are learning? Or we are learning not just for memorizing. But when we talk about it, ESR is the issue of building confidence, independence, responsibility. The knowledge which we get at the end of the day, we have to take full responsibility of what we learn. Is the society also going to benefit from what we have learned or not? So this is the meaning of ESR. So what is the origin of this knowledge? In Tanzania, when we talk about education for self-reliance, probably maybe those who were born in the 60s, they know for sure that the education for self-reliance was propagated by Julius in 1967. And this kind of philosophy was introduced from the national political ideology of socialism. It is where the origin of education for self-reliance was really introduced. According to Nyerere, the policy of self-reliance meant that Tanzania's development should depend on her natural resources. Tanzanian development should really rely or depend on her natural resources. Mwalimu Nyerere was so wise in the way that he tried to show the Tanzanians the beauty of natural resources which surrounds each one of us. How do we use the natural resources which we have? How do we benefit from the natural resources which we do have? So in proposing education for self-reliance, the Tanzanian education system, Nyerere argued that education could not be considered separate from society. Nyerere argued that education could not be considered separate from society. What does it mean? Say that education could not be considered separate from society. What does it mean? If you ask yourself this kind of question, that education could not be considered separate from society, this means that the education which we get, or what we are getting, is supposed to be reflected to the society, or to meet the needs of the society which we are coming from. It's not just a matter of going to the college or to the school. After coming back, what you have learned there and what you find is happening in the society, there is no a correlation. There is no a connection. It's like what you are learning there, it is not going to be applicable anywhere in the society. So according to Mwalimu Nyerere, said that education could not be considered separate from society. In that way, he argued that homeschooling cannot educate a child in isolation from the social and economic system in which it operates. So, formal schooling cannot educate a child in isolation from the social and economic system in which it operates. Formal schooling, what do we mean when we talk about formal schooling? This is a normal formal education which we do get from primary school. So if it is a formal education, Nyerere argued that the education which we get cannot educate a child in isolation. When a person has to be isolated from the society, when a school or students can be isolated from what? The social and economic system in which it operates. Let us take a good example. You go to the college and get your degree in social sciences. After getting your degree, you go back, but you don't have a place where you can practice or you can use this knowledge in the society where you are coming from. You have your degree of political science. Where are you going to operate it? Where are you going to use this degree? So that is what we call, or that is what we call it, isolation from the social and economic system. What we saw in that when a student is in college or in school, what he is learning or what they are learning has to have a connection with the social needs of the community and what is happening in the community. So after getting your degree, it is where you can be able to go back and apply your knowledge by solving the problems which are happening in the society. If you get a degree and you can't be able to go and solve the problems which are happening in the society, this means that your education was isolated. Your education was isolated, and it is not going to solve the problem of the society. So that is what my Missionary highlighted. Formal school cannot educate a child in isolation from the social and economic system in which it operates. So, what really were the aims of education for self-reliance? The education for self-reliance aimed at enabling contacts between school and their immediate communities. Education for self-reliance aimed at enabling contacts between schools and their immediate communities. This means that what we are learning in our schools has to be communicated with what is happening in our societies. Also, education for self-reliance aimed at providing learners with abilities in appropriate vocations. When we talk about appropriate vocations, here we mean that agriculture, carpentry, husbandry, domestic science, information technology, and so on with self-employment skills. ESR aimed at providing learners with the abilities in appropriate vocations. When we talk about the appropriate vocations, we can't run away from agriculture, carpentry, husbandry, domestic science, information technology, and so on, with these self-employment skills. And this was insisted in primary school. And also, ENCR aims at acquiring skills and abilities were meant to be used for performing community tasks and for solving personal and community challenges. The skills which learners, specifically in primary schools, were meant to be used in performing community tasks and for solving personal and community challenges. This means that the education you get, the skills which you get, will enable you to be able to solve your personal issues and community issues. It is not just for yourself, but also you have to consider the needs of the community which surrounds you. In this way, education became a tool for liberation. In this way, education became a tool for liberation. This is the education for self-reliance. If we succeed to have those kind of skills, be able to solve your issues and the issues of the community, it is where you can say, yes, the education which you are getting is becoming a tool for liberation. You are freedom from the problem which you are facing and also the problem which the society is facing. Following these intentions, Missionary insisted that education provided must encourage development in each citizen of three things. Number one, an inquiring mind. An inquiring mind. Number two, an ability to learn from what others do and reject or adapt to their own needs. Number three, basic confidence in their own position as a free and equal member of the society who values others and is valued also by them for what he does and not for what he obtains. So, Mwalimu Nyerere insisted over and over that the education provided must encourage development in each citizen by making sure that this learner who is going to school at the end of his or her education is gaining or acquiring mind. Acquiring mind, critical thinkers, and the ability to learn from what the others do and reject or adapt to their own needs. And also basic confidence in their own position as a free and an equal member of the society. The ownership of knowledge. Tunaweza ukasimama mbele za watu, yes, hapa mimi hapa naweza nikakifanya. The ownership of knowledge. This means that education efforts should provide space for meaningful learning in relevant context for developing appropriate knowledge, skills, and emotions, while at the same time instilling ideals, values such as love, respect, moral, and cooperation. Therefore, the real efforts for ESR was to make sure that what these learners were learning brings meaningful to the society by trying to use the context of the knowledge which they got and skills to benefit them, not only for themselves but also for the society, and also instilling ideal values such as love, respect, and also morals and cooperation. Now we're going to complain about maybe the deterioration of moral in the society. What is happening in the society and so on? This rule was implemented in the education for self-reliance. Respect for one another, love for one another, how to cooperate between one community with the other. Now, let us try to look on the implementation of education for ESR. So, after Nyerere, seeing what was happening after independence, so he decided to communicate with the leaders whom he was working with. And they came up with the issue of reforming the curriculum. The school curriculum was reformed. Or maybe they went through the evaluation to see what was happening during the colonial period and after independence, which kind of education wanted the Tanzanians to get. So the school curriculum reformed took place. And also during the 70s and throughout the early 80s, education for self-reliance activities in a school learning environment were adapted, which in turn enhanced the contact. Those who went to school in 70s and the early 80s can tell these audience that was happening. In schools, we used to have big farms we can be able to cultivate. And what we got was used for meal at the school. We used to have lunch, but from what we cultivated. Machines were there for carpentry, domestic science who used it to be taught in school, and real girls benefited from this education education as well as boys. Education for self-reliance also aligns efforts with the National Socio-Economic Development Plan, whereby they came up with these ideas or implementation. So the policy called for the inclusion of practical and productive activities into the educational curricula as an integral part of the learning process, thus enhancing relevant learning, but also making school self-sufficient production units. Elimu kwa vitendo. Elimu kwa vitendo. Hiki kilikuwa ni kitu cha kwanza. Our inclusion of practical was so important in school, and this was done in primary school. This was done in primary school. Learning by doing hands-on to make sure that what you have learned theoretically is also done practically. So at the end of the day, when you finish your class, you have some skills which will help you for you yourself. That schooling was designed and run in such a way that it linked well with the community needs and realities. This was done by utilizing everyday life experience to prepare pupils while still in school for their life they were going to live. This was done by utilizing everyday life experience to prepare pupils while in school for the life they were going to live. I'm here not to criticize the system of education which is going on. But at this moment you can find that a student is finishing college without having skills which will help this person to employ himself. Ndio unakuta kwa challenge sasa, kwa darasa la 7 yuko, na sekondari yuko, kwa high school yuko, kwa college yuko, wote wanatafuta kazi, waajiriwe na ajira hakuna. And this is the community which you are going to face. How do watakuwa parishioners wa faith? How are you going to deal with them? Okay. Maybe these answers can be, these questions can be answered later. So, in the process of implementation of ESR, really, the curricular education was reformed in a way to make sure that the oriented education which was offered has to be done towards rural life, because they looked at the people who were living in the rural areas. That there are few people who are living in the town, but majority are living in the rural areas. So these people who are getting this knowledge, how are they going to use their knowledge in the rural areas? If you do remember the poem which we are reciting while we were in primary school, so everything was there. The poem was so good to encourage you to know that always the wealth and richness can be found in farms. Students, together, teachers and students should engage in productive activities such as animal husbandry and crop production. Students should participate in the planning and decision-making process that surrounds the organization of these activities. Teachers and students must work together. But also students have good ideas, which teachers have to make sure that is listening to what teachers have to remember that these students are growing, their brain are growing fast. That their energy, they are curious to know what is going on. What are they learning? How are they going to do? How are they going to benefit from what they are doing and so on. So the communication, teachers and students always has to be there. If you look at the wafugaji, nowadays we are chasing wafugaji from one place to another. And at the same time, probably they have their children who went to school. They got their degree, so how are they helping their parents to understand, know that what they are doing is fine, but it has to be done in a way that it can be improved a little bit so that they can earn more money than to use the normal way which they are using to kufuga wanyama. Students should participate in the planning and decision-making process that surround the organization of these activities. So let us not ignore students in decision-making. They have their good ideas. Productive work should become an integral part of the school curriculum and provide meaningful experience through the integration of theory and practice. So what has learned theoretically also has to be finished by doing practice. As Sabina told, maybe 75% of our education nowadays we're doing it theoretically. We have a little time for practical. When the time comes of doing, maybe having an education like a theory, then by 50% and doing practical by 50% will be far away economically. Now, after hearing about education for self-reliance, now let us take it into our daily life. So, why integrating education for self-reliance in the formation? Number one, education for self-reliance is the key foundation for our spiritual and vocational growth. Do you believe me or not? Education for self-reliance is the key foundation for our spiritual and vocational growth. Look at the fathers of spiritual formations like St. Ignatius of Loyola, St. Benedict, and St. Francis. They worked hard on education for self-reliance. St. Ignatius of Loyola says that you can find God in nature, surrounding natures which you do live. If you go for farming, usiende na uso mrefu, mahindi hayataota. You need to see God in the surrounding nature's environment which you live. To make the connection between your creator and the work which you are doing. So, education for self-reliance is the key foundation for our spiritual and vocational growth. When we talk about vocational growth, miito mingi unapoongelea vocational growth, you're talking about upadi utakuwa humo, utawa utakuwa humo, udaktari utakuwa humo, uanashauri utakuwa hapo, vocational growth starts with ESR. Number two, ESR also is the source of career development, which starts as soon as formal education begins. Education for self-reliance is the source of career development, which starts as soon as formal education begins. Here we are talking about at the age of 4 to 15 years old. Career development. Career development haipatikani baada ya kufikisha miaka 30-20 unatafuta career development. No. The earliest stage of career development has to start at the age of 15. I do remember one day I attended graduation for preschool here in Tabora. Jina la shule inalitoza nalifanya. Really, I admire those teachers who were teaching these little children. They prepared them in the way that really these children are starting to prepare their career development. Those children who showed the interest of being doctors, they were given a chance to wear coats and jackets which really they are going to perform surgery as doctors. Those who were interested to work as teachers, they dressed up in the way of really going to be teachers. Those who were interested to work as Wanashambas and Bibishambas, they dressed up in the way of working as Bibishambas and Wanashambas. Yes. And also they went further by trying to teach us on what you are supposed to eat from morning to evening, and what kind of food are you supposed to eat. Those who are interested in sports, yes, they come dressing up with younger jerseys and silver jerseys also. Those who are interested to be pilots, they dressed up in the codes which directed them to be pilots and so on. So at this stage, these children who were maybe 4 years old, maybe 5 years old, they had already started to learn what kind of subject they are going to concentrate and why, and they would like to be what kind of person in the future. So, my dear brothers, career development is really starts at the age of 4 and not 4 to 15 and not after that. If you go above that stage, you are going to look at a different level of career development. But to know all the sources of career development really has to be starting at the age of 4 years old. But ESR is a source of career development. So those are information I would like you to know that education for self-reliance they get is not isolated, but it is enabling them to have a contact with the immediate communities they will be serving, which have both spiritual, intellectual, and physical needs. So the education which we are getting from all levels of formation has to make sure that, or it has to enable you to know that you are not isolated in the society. The society which you are going to serve, it has both needs, like spiritual, intellectual, and physical needs. Usiende duru kasema nashughulikia maisha ya kiroho. Utawaomba wale walipe zaka, lakini ujui their income. How are they going to make sure that they get the income which will help you to get what you are trying to get from them? Zaka watalipa watu kama yamelala njaa na mtoto. Lakini education for self-reliance. It has to help you to know that you are not isolated. You as a future priest, you do expect to know that the people whom you are going to serve, they have 3 main needs, which are spiritual, intellectual, and physical needs. And you are obliged to know them. It is not that if you have been supposed to know, they belong to you. So you need to have skills which will help you to meet their needs. providing learners with abilities in appropriate vocations. We mean the agriculture, carpentry, husbandry, domestic science, information technology, and self-employment skills. What do we need to know, or what do we need to do while we are in the formation process? We need to have a positive attitude on the implementation of ESR from minor to major seminaries. We need to have positive attitude. Wengine wanaona kama education for self-reliance ni mateso. Kwani mtumikie kafiri apate ujira wake. The moment anapomaliza tu anasema Mungu wangu, mimi sitarudi tena kibarabara. Mashamba yale, nguruwe wale, sitarudi tena. No. You need to accept the education for self-reliance with a positive attitude, knowing that the people whom you are going to serve, they need you. But they need you with skills which will help them to solve the problems which are facing them. Do we have such kind of skills to meet the basic needs of the people with different ages? Your skills. Do we have such kind of skills to meet the basic needs of people with different ages? Tanzania na tofautiana. So applying the skills and ability through education for self-reliance were meant to be used in performing community tasks and for solving personal and community challenges. Do our learners information are prepared to apply this knowledge by solving their personal and community challenges? This is the questions which maybe each one of you need to answer. Do our learners in the formation are prepared to apply this knowledge by solving their personal and community challenges? Kwa nini baada ya formation mtu anachange kabisa? Na kwa pengine kwenye isolation area ambapo a person can't be able to solve his issues. If we can't manage to solve his problem, how is he going to solve the problem of the community which surrounds him? Do we have such kind of skills? This is a good time for you to learn. If yes, the education becomes a tool for direction. Now let us try to look at recommendation. What kind of recommendation do I have for you? Number one, balanced diet is crucial. You know what is coming from education for self-reliance? Why is this happening from different kinds of diseases? Because we don't eat balanced diet. Probably we like to eat well, but we don't want to work hard. We want a shortcut. Education for self-reliance is an answer. You work hard, you will be able to eat well and have a good health. You can be able to share the same kind of knowledge with the society which surrounds you. If you don't do it, they will not never do it. Hapo ndo unaanza kuangalia matoleo. Maana hiki hapa akileo. Why? Education for self-reliance. So balanced diet is crucial. You need to work hard. Number two, a paradise garden is recommended. Hapa seminari na maeneo mazuri sana. What are you going to do as a member for this 100 years? How many of you? More than 200. Is it? Yes, more than 200. 200 tutakuwa na uhakika wa kila mwanafunzi kupata papai asubuhi. Kwa kifungua hiki migomba. Why do we have to go and buy bananas whenever we have celebration? Kwani kila mmoja asiwe na shina la mgomba, ukapanda vizuri na migomba na ukaweka mbolea vizuri. This garden will be a place for you kwenda kupunga hewa na kusali, to make a connection with the knowledge you have na Mungu wako, kumwona Mungu katika kile unachokifanya. Baada ya kuona kama ni baada ya kufikia malnutrition itakuwa kwenye seminari. Ndio matokeo ni mgomba mmoja, ikiwa zingine vibali ya tamu, watakuwa walimu wenu na ninyi hamtaliona. Mwisho mtapata tamaa ya kutamani kuchukua kitu. Sisi wale wamelala kule kachukua. Education is good. Yes, ahara is the answer. Kwa hiyo kumaliza mwaka unakwenda kukula. Tukuze ile miaka. Weke bustani nzuri. Hata kila mwanafunzi anapokuja kila mwaka, mpatie mche wa papai akapanda, patie mipashe apande mchungwa, ili niende aitoe maembe. Ina umri mkubwa zaidi kuliko wa kwangu, lakini mwili wote aluli vimekani. To make sure that after 100 years to come, you have a good memory garden, paradise, whereby the person will tamani kuja kaa. If you attend your reading books, you go to this garden and relax. Recommendations are probably going to share hapo. Each seminary to plan and go back and finally, wishing you all the best for the coming day.
Thank you so very much for that talk. Every seminary know as an orchard. What is the secret behind an orchard? For the kids. St. Peter's in program orchard here. Hii seminari tulikuwa na orchard, Itana seminari tulikuwa na orchard, Bugamo orchard, hapa now let's see some talk about this. Maybe it was fun. Well, I don't want to teach you to study anything you have just Dona wasemaji na wewe shida mshawishi vya kula matunda. Kwa sababu seminari inaocha. Na kila mwanafunzi hapa ana historia ya kulipa matunda. Okay, for our morning, I'm going to do. You say something about this one. Okay. That is one I agree with that. Education for self-reliance. This is very, very. You see, this is the most talked about topic about education and about the but it's the least understood. Kila mahali Afrika wakifundishwa walimu, they talk about education for self-reliance as a philosophy of degree as but it's the least understood. What's the problem? Father, remember in Ecuador, those things expected learning outcomes. Actually, they are based on this philosophy. Unfortunately, because Nyerere in Africa is being undermined. And I tell you, if you want to know the real Nyerere, go outside Africa. There are so many difficult and good things about Nyerere, which I've never heard them being talked about in Tanzania. I understand why. Do you know Bush, when Bush invaded Kuwait, he used the doctrine of Nyerere to invade Kuwait. When we invaded Uganda, Nyerere said this: if a country is being ruled by a dictator and the citizens are being kama wananchi wanaonewa na mtawala dictator, ni wajibu wa nchi jirani kuvamia nchi hiyo na kuondoa nchi kwenye. It was not understood. Lakini Bush alipovamia Kuwait, na aliyekule wapi Iraq, au usiku Iraq. And that was the excuse they had. Tunaenda kule kumtoa dictator. Tunaenda kuokoa nchi wa Iraq. But they will never tell you that they are using the very political doctrine. Anyway, enough about Nyerere. There are so many good things about Nyerere which we need to know. Now, I invite questions for sister, for father, and for you. So deep with that.
Yes.
I knew you had something to say.
Yeah, I would like to support what Sister Sophia said. When I was rector myself, that was my philosophy. That we should have. I was not calling it a paradise. No. I just said what I don't have you read my books or what? I've written one book today. I haven't just brought it down. It's called Nani Mwafrika Hamsa Washiri. That is the title of my book. That if ever we chance to enter heaven, every African should receive 25 lashes before is allowed to enter heaven. Why? Because we are living in poverty while our continent is the richest continent. Why should I live in this poverty? There's somebody who has allowed Africa to be robbed of its wealth. And they have not done anything. This is the paradise. Now I was telling seminarians, we should have enough purple trees. Because if we have got only one, the rector knows the number of the purples there, and the fermenters all know how many purples are hanging there. If one steals the purple, that is a big issue. The rector will say, who has stolen the purple? Yeah. Because the number of the purples will know, the rector and the fermenters. But if we have many purple trees, the rector will not know how many purples are there. And some of the purples will be referring only the trees. So a seminarian who walks around and picks one purple out of 1,000 purples, it would be an issue. And that's what made me have big guidance. And that's what I was telling the seminarians, we have also to grow rice. Rice should not be something for the special occasions. And a special diet for seminarians. We should have big farms of rice and have a lot of rice so that we can eat at any time we want it. If we want it for breakfast, we are viable. Otherwise, if we have only one bag of rice, that will be saved for a special occasion. And the fermenters will eat it. And then will be power. And I told them that we have to have also big fish ponds. That's why in Theological is very big fish pots, so that we may have enough fish for all. Otherwise, if there is only one fish, that is enough for the rector. But if we have 100 kilograms of fish, the rector cannot eat all that amount of fish unless he is married. So that's why I engaged in scenarios very much in this thing, self-reliance in Caramia. And I'm not boasting, but when I left enough bags of rice to be eaten by seminaries for 3 years. So by my time we were asking for the remover here, rice was not a special diet.
Ugali was a special diet.
Yes, ugali was a special diet. And I was so confident, I was telling seminarians, now if we wanted to demand anything regarding food, tell me, I will improve the menu because I saw something in the stores. So what the sister says is quite impossible. And it is true, if we plant 200 purple trees, we have many purples for everybody. But only one purple tree, that is enough for the rector, and it's not enough even for the fermenters. So they will go to the market there and buy purples. And who has the money to buy purples and fruits every time? Balanced diet, which is said there, balanced diet, scientifically. And when we come to our mental and so on, the balanced diet should have 5 colors. Your meal, if you put it in a plate, should have 5 colors. There should be something green there, there should be something red there, there should be something white there, should be 5 colors. Now, you can also now understand whether your meal is balanced. How many colors? And the balanced diet, if we have all the things, these carbohydrates which you need, it's usually the size of your fist. Balanced diet, carbohydrates, ugali, unaohitaji wewe kijana. The balanced diet, ni ngumi tu. But since you don't have a balanced diet, you need a heap of ugali. Protein which you need is 200 grams. But you don't have that. That's why now when you find fish or meat, you eat it. You know? When you find the chicken, you find it once in a week. So you eat a whole. Because you get it daily on your daily basis. So now this is something which we have to really to take into consideration. We have to take into consideration this issue. Sister, I usually tell young people and mothers especially that we were born in the likeness and the image of God. But our brain is to be nurtured in such a way that we become human beings. And in order to become human beings, we need several things. We need milk, especially mother's milk. We need vitamins. We need also fish, and we need for the food, paper, pilipili. Nilikuwa nimejina ubongo. Maziwa, ndizi, samaki, na pilipili. Some things which we can also produce ourselves. So thank you, sister, for your contribution, and I really support what you are saying, and I'm trying to say something in the comment. Education for self-sacrifice.
Thank you, brother. Now, I know time is the essence of this one. I want to invite just 4 questions. 2 for the sister and the 2 for Father. Father Lobo, something you are right to be asking questions. You have answered, I think you have answered already. You have pre-answered the questions. So you ask questions to Father Chibondo, and of Sister One. Tomorrow we have also sessions for questions. The Father will be there. So, in the evening. So far there is remaining very little there.
Thank you very much. Protocol being observed, I have actually 1 question and a little bit of contribution. In the very first place, I would like to congratulate Sister for the good presentation. And by this, I would like to contextualize what the sister has just presented. The theme of education is self-reliance. In the year 1958, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, on the way to Kigoma, passed by here, saying hi to the seminarians and the teaching staff. You know that in the year 1967, on the 23rd of April, he himself, as we cherish him, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, passed by here on the 23rd of April 1967, leaving 2 great gifts that he was given by Pope John the 23rd, now saint. And one among the books, the gifts that he left to the seminary, one is in our library there. That big book, big Bible, which is protected and well cherished there. I think Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere also has a big contribution here in our seminary. This being the case, the 3rd time he stepped foot here at Kalapara, he gave a 2-hour speech, trying to emphasize the seminarians to commit themselves in fulfillment of Ujamaa and self-reliance policy. This is what Julius Kambarage Nyerere campaigned, and in a very special place on the 30th of July in the year 1970. This is very wonderful that today we speak again about Julius Kambarage Nyerere, or the same thing that he has campaigned and always wanted us to fulfill as Tanzania in the very first place, we as prepared to become pastors. Now, my question is, does education self-reliance refer, or does it has to mean work, sweat, and all that? Can we speak of education self-reliance in idea? Maybe, for example, nowadays some people would say, I sit on my couch and make a lot of money. Can that also be taken as education self-reliance? We have people who are selling out ideas, we have people who are selling out projects and things of the kind. Thank you, that is all I can say.
Good evening to you all. First of all, I congratulate all presenters very much for the nice teachings. Then I have the following questions concerning the topic of self-reliance. Now, to you, sister. First question. How does self-reliance influence personal identity? First question. Second one, what are the implications of self-reliance in various aspects of life? Then the third one, how can one cultivate self-reliance in modern context? The last one. What role does self-reliance play in overcoming those challenges? Thank you.
Thank you. Protocol being observed, good evening.
The sister has had more than what I said.
So, protocol being observed, good evening. And then I had an appeal for those who are in authority and those who have been delegated to stand on these institutions. When Missionary was going to solve the conflict in Burundi, he said, fools trade walk where angels fear to tread. But he said some fools had to try to step in, saying that some people are not courageous enough to go to Burundi to solve the conflict which was going there. And relating it to our problem, it is not that we are not able to fulfill something that can make us be self-reliant. But the issue is we are not courageous enough to step in and start something that can make us self-reliant. So I'm appealing that we know we have been facing financial constraints because of different projects in our seminaries, but I think it's the high time now for those who are in charge of our institutions at least to start stepping on. Despite the financial constraints, but to invest. I've been told by Sister and Father Titus how this self-reliance is beneficial, not only to these seminaries, but to the community at large. So, and for us who are also in formation, when these projects are started, let us embrace them as our own. As Sister said, we should not go like to the shamba with long face that the maize want to grow. That's the way of saying that we should take those works as our own. Most of the time we encourage that we should consider the seminaries as our own home. So I'm appealing for those in authority to at least start taking measures in starting this project, as well as establishing something that will make us be more self-reliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Frederick Ibagasira. I'm coming from Catholic Diocese of Kayana. Before posing out my question, I have two assertions. First one is, according to Roman Jesu number 1, it states that the church, as the body of Christ, enrates her rights to the faithful, so that by hearing the word of God, people may believe, and by believing may hope, and by loving may love. And by hoping may love. The second assertion is, how can I understand without being taught or directed, as it is written in the Acts of the Apostles chapter 8, verse 31. Having posed these two assertions, then my question is, it is true that we have Catholic schools, colleges and universities, but what are the purpose of having these schools, colleges and universities? If at all the purpose is evangelization as far as the mind of the founder, the missionaries. Is it true that these students who are born in our Catholic universities are really evangelizing? And if we are told they are evangelizing, what are the contribution of these who are evangelizing? I remember, I know that from the apostolic exhortation of Pope VI, in his way to treat, only the way in treating the issue of evangelization, he posted out 4 ways on how people should be evangelizing. The first and foremost was preaching the word of God. Second was education. Third was pastoral charity. And the fourth was social action. My point is on education. So, how these Catholic universities and schools are being among the contributors in evangelizing? And if not, why should we have the Catholic universities? Because even the students may obtain education from other universities. No. If now there is no any difference between the students who have been educated from St. Augustine University and the students who have been educated from the University of Dar es Salaam. If now there is no any difference, I think it is not true that we should put at the Catholic universities. And if it is, please, I call upon you, Father Chikondo, to prove this, that we have the Catholic universities and the purpose is to evangelize. If it is, how? Thank you.
I'm sure it's there. They can answer you, but how much follow is. You wanted to say something? Yeah, not much.
I'll have a question for the respondent. He said that one among the challenges of Catholic universities is a vocation boom. Then for the respondent, I'm asking, is vocation boom a real challenge or an opportunity for evangelization? Is it really a problem or a gift for viral evangelization? As we know, there is no evangelization without the ministers or the agents of evangelization. And as we know, those who are the readers and the ministers for Catholic universities and Catholic schools, by excellence are the priests, and here we are getting the ministers. Then is that a problem or a gift?
Thank you. Let's give them a chance to respond.
If I proceed answering these questions, then Father to help me to answer some of the questions.
Thank you very much. I will try to answer some questions on the issue of self-reliance. We are not victims, but practitioners of the policy of Missionary. So when we are in primary schools, we use our resources and our power to implement it by having standards like the boga and the like. So self-reliance is that you have to rely on your own power and resources rather than depending on others at individual level, at institutional level, and at national level. This is what Missionary tried to build Tanzania, kwamba tusitegemee misaada kutoka nje. We have to start our own by using our own power and resources. So that is the philosophy behind the so-called self-reliance. And I don't know what it has to. I cannot remember other questions. But what I try to tell you is about what is self-reliance. I'm sure you were not there when Arusha Declaration school level and even at national level. Nyerere alitegemea msaada kutoka nje na aliavoid kukopa. That is why alisisitiza the use of our powers and our natural resources so that we can develop. And even students at primary schools, we had to implement it. Kwa hiyo unamaliza shule in the evening, then you go back home, unatengeneza bustani ya nyanya, then unauza, then you get money to buy books. So, and for you as present priests and future priests, you have to calculate that instead of talking much about mchango wa kwanza, wa pili, wa tatu, then we have to think about using your power and resources and how you can develop your parish and how you can have money to run your own. Like, of course, you are very smart on that. The way I see some the young generation priests having some miradi at the parish level, when you wanafungua maduka, na hiyo inawasaidia wao ku run their parishes instead of depending much on the parishioners. So,
Tunafanya kazi nzuri.
Labda niongeze pia kwamba the issue of education for self-reliance, the effects of removing this curriculum from the education system which we had caused the country to suffer a lot. Nowadays they are trying to go back, to put back this education for self-reliance into our curriculum. If we will hear Mr. Mkena talking about the new curriculum with some, they call it masomo ya amali. Masomo ya amali ni masomo ya ufundi. Ni huko tunarudi kwenye education for self-reliance. Ndani yake kuna kilimo, kuna mifugo, sijui kuna ufugaji wa nyuki, kuna nini. Haya masomo ya amali yako karibu 50 na kitu. Na hayo yanabi implemented in secondary school. Kwamba mwanafunzi anakuwa yuko huru kuchagua aidha masomo ya taaluma au ya amali. Kwa sababu mwanzoni kwa marekebisho wanafunzi wote walikuwa masomo yote ya taaluma. Kama ni sayansi ya hiyo kwa kujifunza sayansi ya mapenzi. Kama ni hati tunataka jifunze hivyo. Sasa lakini tunasahau kile kipengele cha mama. Mwingine sio lazima asome masomo hayo. Kwa sababu ana ufundi fulani ambao sisi walimu bila tuona. Kwa hiyo mwanafunzi apewe chance ya practice kile anachokipenda. That is why there is a reform of a new curriculum. Ndani yake kuna masomo ya amali. Sasa ni unapoenda kule kufanya utume mtakutana na hivyo. Lakini na wewe hauna nono za kukusaidia. Usije ukasema mimi sikuzaliwa enzi zile za education for self-reliance. No. You need to have skills which will empower you as your pastor. Ni hapa amesema kwamba lazima ni sweat. Hapa amesema hivi, na babangu alikuwa atanisaidia kitabu chake kizuri kinachosema busara za wazee. Na misemo mingi kule ndani. Sasa kiuchumia juani hulia kivulini. Maanake wewe na ili uweze kukaa relax kuenjoy your work, lazima ufanye kazi. Identity ya upasta wako itabaki tu pale, lakini kumbuka wale wanaokuzunguka wana maisha makuu. Kama wazazi wanaokuja watoto wao na utapia mlo, you as a pastor utaendelea kuomba yule mama kwa mchango wa sadaka ya pili. What are you going to do to empower them? Ile elimu nayo wapatia haitoi identity yako ya kuwa pastor au priest. Lakini inaunganisha ukidhi mahitaji ya mtu ambayo kuna tatu: physical need, intellectual need, na spiritual needs. Hivyo huwezi kuvitenganisha. Kingine ambacho how modern world inatuaffect labda penye tunakwenda. Unajua modern technology inatuondolea ule uwezo wetu wa kufikiri. Critical thinkers, yani tunakuwa tu lazima depend on something. Leo TV ikiondolewa hatuwezi kufikiri namna ya kutengeneza televisheni ya kwetu. Hiki kisimu kiharibika, lazima nipeleke kwa mtu mwingine. Is it true that we don't have critical thinkers? Hawa watoto wadogo tukianza kuwasaidia toka mapema kwamba wawezi kukuza karia zao. Je, hawezi kutengeneza simu? Why always do we have to depend on others? Why preparation ya education inakuwa halipo? We miss the power of owning the knowledge. Wakati lazima tu-own mapasta wa kesho. Ownership of knowledge. Lakini knowledge, yani kuwa empower watu waweze kujua kwamba they are smart enough, they can use their brain, they can manage to do something to contribute to the society. Hicho ndio cha msingi. Sasa sisi ambao wanakupitia huko, it is true sometimes we have from ya feet. Ya kwamba Mungu wangu sasa niwezi kupata hiki hapa. What am I going to do? Ni mgawanyo wa kazi. Na kuna mwingine mzuri kwa kitu fulani, na mwingine mzuri kwa kitu fulani. Be ready to learn something from others. Usikate wasema basi. I do remember kuna shule tu moja. Alikuja mtoto ambaye aliomba ahamishwe mara moja pale shule. Kisa ni nini? Alikuwa hajawahi kutoa mbolea kwenye zizi la ng'ombe. Pale shuleni kuna ng'ombe kwa ajili ya maziwa. Jamani, yule mtoto alimwita mzazi wake akamwambia, please make sure that I get out of this school. It's about self-reliance. Wale wanaochukulia positive, they like to be there, and at the end of the day, they are good citizens, and they are ready to share their knowledge with others. Kwa hiyo wewe mwenyewe ownership ya education, what do you have to share with the society, and not just depend on others. When a power is placed on kwamba hiki hapa nitakifanya, kuna mtu ambaye yuko kwenye uwezo wako. Thank you.
There is a question which is not answered. I'll answer that question. You answer that question about it. Before I go for the Chipona, you are right. I think for the people will also help you to answer that one. And for the, since you have been asking about that question of the evangelization, I'll need to ask you to respond to that. But before that, and education for self-reliance. In most cases, we think it's all about manual working what. No, even in those ideas of what you're saying. For example, those who are teaching you Reformation, why do you think they are teaching you Reformation? Have you ever asked yourself, why do they teach you Reformation? So that you may understand what happened and then learn from that, so that next time you are on the look. If there are events or there are signs that are happening in the history, you may be able to know, no, these might lead to whatever happened during the Reformation, isn't it? So that is self-reliance. Education for self-reliance. So there is that ideal part and the practical part. Now, let's go.
Thank you for the good questions. I would like to start with the second question, whereby I talked about the vocation boom as a challenge to the church. Here I was very specific when you are talking about the vocation, you are talking to religious or priestly vocation. Unaposema vocation boom is a challenge, kwamba ni shida. Yani we take it as a type of place. I think I've seen some of our seminars. Vocation ilikuwa nyingi. Hata kwa majimbo mengi yalikuwa na hizo vocation. Lakini sasa kinakuja wapi? Where do we keep them? Kienda kwa mfano ndio ifika kitu tunataka kutumia nini symbol ili watu walale. Kitu vizuri wapata waseminari. Lakini kama kanisa lazima tuone kwamba sasa hii ni type of place kwamba pengine kwa muda fulani. How do we take that? Tukienda commentators na baadhi ya majimbo ambao wanatoa pia wasema kwamba baada tunapokea watu wanne na niyo wanne ipo na tosha. Kuuliza kwa nini hatuna sehemu za kupokea? Au serikali zinakwambia sisi hatuwezi kuchukua wanafunzi zaidi ya wanafunzi fulani. Kuuliza kwa nini tutaweka wapi? Maana that's why I said it is a vocation boom which has come to the church. There are other countries there is a big problem. Serikali nyingi zinafungwa kwa sababu hamna vocation. Lakini kwetu hapa ipo ambayo is a place. Lakini kwa sababu pekee tunafika hatuwezi kuaccommodate wengine na watu. Ndio nasema kwamba it is a challenge to the church. How do we go about it? Lazima tufikirie haraka so that we can accommodate. Probably uko mbele ya kidogo. Pepo utayumba kidogo hiyo bunge itaweka. Au unaweza kuichukulia pengine negative, lakini nachukulia in that time sababu tunasema kwamba time of grace. If the bishop has said the time of grace, we have to take it. This is what I said on that point of as a challenge. It's a challenge. Having many but we cannot wait. But also connected to that, I said challenge because we have many seminaries, maybe we have very few professions. For example, we come to the issue of some philosophical subjects. Maybe these are very few can teach that. How are we prepared for that? This is what I want to connect. We have seminaries, but we have more people who are specializing in that philosophy. Apart from theology. And kama pale philosophy lakini wanalia kweli kwa sababu there are very few. And some they are wameshafikia umri wa kusafu to not say. Sasa what next? Maana point ambayo mimi ndio kama said that maybe sasa tuanze kujiandaa kwamba sasa waende watu wengi kusomea philosophy au kusomea masomo so that you can go with that place. So la pili kwa nahusu universities. According to my version, I saw that there are values au identities ambazo tunazipata katika Catholic universities. I was talking about the general. Because of what we have in university and university. I think you can see even the government. The way we find wanafanya somo atakwambia wewe soma chuo cha Katoliki. Kama there are some values. Ambazo hizo zikuwa maintained, lazima Catholic university itakuwa tofauti zingine. Au kwa hiyo pale atakuwa na value fulani ambazo atakuwa anazo zile pengine hana. Sababu otherwise itakuwa ni big difference. Lakini kwa nini tunataka university? According to my reflection, and people say more, hiyo kwamba there are some values. These are the self-reliance. Hata katika shule za kawaida, pengine hivi inawezekana ni value kwa tukainsist. Au kwa uaminifu labda. Sisemi kwamba sisi hawana uaminifu. Lakini kuna zile Catholic values ambazo zinakuwa insisted kwa wale walimu wanaokuwa wanasimamia ile shule. Kuna values ambazo kunakuwa insisted kutoka pale kwamba alisoma kwenye Catholic university. That's my reflection. Asante sana.
Before I bring Father Katiba, Father Professor Segeja, karibu sana. Baba Segeja, Baba Segeja, karibu sana. Najua wewe ni kweli kama mimi. Kwanza unaanzia kukaa nyuma alafu unaambiwa karibu mbele. Karibu leo. Leo ndio Kristo anakaa nyuma alafu unaambiwa karibu leo. Baba karibu sana. I thought you were alumni of here. Lakini kuna watu wa darasa la kwanza leo kuanzisha seminari. Karibu sana. We have been struggling to answer a question on the relevance of university, Catholic institutions. Why should we have them while students can get the same kind of knowledge elsewhere? And if it's evangelization or not, someone is not comfortable with that. So that was the question. And Father Chipondo who proposed that motion has answered that one. And now I'll just move Father Latiba to do that one. And Father Ali. And I know you can also help us in that if you feel like doing it. Otherwise, Karibu.
Thank you very much on the issue of the way use universities as center for evangelization. I think my colleague was amenable to answer to that. But all in all, we are treating our students in a holistic way. So we treat them materially and spiritually. And we have some institutional courses, ambazo zinasaidia, for instance, social ethics and the like. So we do not force them to be Catholic. So Christians, they have to observe the Christian values. Also, since we treat them holistically, then they get a lot from spiritual formation, even by injecting what the others are doing there. So, for that case, we are doing a very good evangelical work. We are doing evangelization. Also, we are very restrictive on the point of discipline. We do not leave things to be taken for granted. So those who are teaching in a Catholic university, they have to follow and to keep the so-called Catholic values. Kwa hiyo kule ni tofauti na vyuo vingine kama chuo kikuu, mwalimu anaweza akawa mzembe au nini akaacha shughuli au kusikia kesi nyingi, lakini sisi tunajaribu ile Catholic values itawale katika hayo. So through that, na vile for instance in St. Augustine we are talking about building the seat of God. So through that we are building the seat of God, na tunawafanya wanafunzi wetu popote wanapoenda wanabaki na identity ya St. Augustine. Kwa hiyo usiwe na wasiwasi, evangelization inafanyika vizuri sana katika vyuo hivyo. So evangelization tu ya labda ya kuhubiri neno la Mungu, kwanza ataeleza jinsi anavyofanya kazi kule, na yeye ni mmoja wapo ambao anafanya kazi kubwa sana ya kuhakikisha kwamba our Catholic universities zina evangelize to those students spiritually and materially. Kwa hiyo msiwe na wasiwasi. Na kuongezea ile ya vocation boom, that one started with when we came here in 19. Sisi tulipokuja hapa, kwa mfano barabara, miaka yetu kuanzia wapi kule, ndio ikaonekana kuna vocation boom. Lakini kama nilivyosema father, ni kwamba ni blessing. Sasa blessing hiyo ndio ikasaidia hata kufikiria kuongeza wengi na watatu na zaidi kule Mtunga. So wameongeza wengine. Wameongeza. Hata hapa naona mabweni yanaongezeka. Sisi tulikuwa tunalala mpaka ile jengo loko pale Kwa hiyo anapozungumzia challenge sio kwamba baya, ila katika ni fursa ya kila mtu kufikiria, kuanzia dunia ndogo nyumbani kule tunapotoka mpaka vioni mpaka maaskofu, kwamba sasa lazima tukabiliane na hii changamoto ambayo ni chanya, sio hasi, kwa sababu agizo la Yesu la kusema ombeni Bwana mavuno aleta uvunaji, lile hatuwezi kulipuuzia. Kila wakati lazima tusali, na hata siku moja hawezi kusema mapato yanatosha. Kwa hiyo ile sasa inapoongezeka vitu hivi tunashukuru, lakini vile vile tuangalia tunaweza tukabili vipi. Kwa mfano mambo ya infrastructure, kama majimbo mengine wapeleka vio kama Jordan wanapotoa masome, ndio wapeleka nchi yote. Hiyo ni katika accommodate that profession. Kwa hiyo naomba mwelewe.
Asante. Maamuzi yao. Unajua kanisa lina taasisi nyingi sana za elimu na shule, lakini huwa natumia nafasi hiyo kulazimisha wote wanaopita pale kufuata imani yake. Najua huu ndio uzoefu wao, tofauti na madhehebu mengine. Ukienda shule kwa kuna Kisabato wanafanya bodi ni lengo na mmoja wafanya wote wanasoma pale kwa Wasabato. Nadhani ni katika muktadha huu ndio maana muuliza swali, labda na wasiwasi anajiuliza sana. Yote hii kama hatufanyi kitu hiki, kuna faida yote? Lazima tumuelewe. Ukifuata kuuliza swali atakwambia kwa nini anauliza swali. That was not a right question. Alikuwa anataka ujumbe baba akasema.
Thank you very much for the question raised. Father Natile, as I said, Sauti is doing what is possible to train the students who could display some difference from other students. Because we give holistic type of education. Now, the problem, young people, is this education is connected with the employment. So we say, those who are coming from South and not suffering this problem, they are suffering from the problem as well because of reasons. The world is suffering as a unit, as an entity. The question of unemployment is felt everywhere. But other countries are doing more than what is done in Africa. You see Chinese going around, working and gaining a lot of opportunities to work because the government is behind these people. It's the government which forms all these companies, and they give them to the Chinese. You are a technician, you are I don't know what. Now, take this company, go to Tanzania, look for a job there, and work hard there. Has this been done by any government here in Africa? No. So the Chinese are not coming on their own. They are sent by their government. That's why the government tells them, okay, you have to construct the road very well so that you can get another tender. If you spoil the work, we are going to kill you. So that's why now you see the Chinese all over the world. There are over 1 billion point 3. Tanzanians are only 62 million. See? So this is a problem which is solved by governments. Now we can train a number of people. If the government does not create jobs for them, where will these people employed? So since the government is for training people to be employed, and Mr. Masui can tell you, TCU, the body which is governing higher education, is telling us this government, this program, enable the students to be employed. So the government is trying to tell us to train people to be employed. Mr. Masui is so that we are now reviewing our programs so that they can be tuned like that. So there's no opportunity to train people to say in a different way, because we are living in a country which is tuned to training people for blue collar jobs or white collar jobs. No, this is first. And then another reason is this. There are other teachers besides lecturers in the university. See, young people, as you are, and you are witnesses, you are not only trained by your formators. You are not only trained by these formators who are here. You have other teachers behind the curtain. You have Diamond behind the curtain. You have Zuju. Zuju is training people and instructing people in Tanzania. She's a teacher. That's why you know her song. No. Honey! Who don't use this song? Diamond is also your teacher. Enjoy. Actually, enjoy. So, fathers here are trying their level best not to teach you the beautiful things, but behind you, simple teachers who are teaching this generation. So I would be teaching people, I don't know, this and that. There are people who are spoiling our curricula and everything. Diamond and Kiba and all these people. You have been studying here philosophy. Epicurus, do you know him? Epicurus, the one who was talking about pleasure. Listen carefully to the songs of Diamond and his friends. They are infected and Epicureans. They are talking about enjoying the world. So there is another problem which we face. There are so many teachers. So we don't listen to Jesus Christ or to the fermenters. We listen to other people who are coming, in fact, to spoil what we have been trying to build. You know? Then another problem, or another reason is that we don't get students from different schools. Students are, including yourself, you are coming from government schools, I don't know what. Now, what foundation has been laid by those schools? Shule Zakata, I don't know what, all this. So we are getting products from these very schools. Now, whether they come and join a university outing, and we stay with these students for 3 or 4 years, can we really change them when they have spent a lot of years before coming to us? Can we fatten cows on the day of auction? Tunaweza kuwanenepesha ng'ombe siku moja. This is no problem. If these people were coming from another planet or so, that would be different. But we are getting students from the various schools which are doing very hopeless work. If there is a problem of English, can we improve English of university students in a year? If people have failed to master English in the O level, in the A level, or can a seminar like this do wonders, teach you English in 1 year? What type of course can you tuition or what? So that they will have it. us something else. There's something that you're telling us something else. So, and here young people, we have also this problem. That's why now the topics which are given here are very important for you. If we decide to change, maybe we can start to change now. Otherwise, the environment is so much destroyed like that. And something new cannot be created in an environment like this. And in the Bible, there is a statement, kama misingi imeharibika. That's why this that's the problem. You know this quotation, no? So, and that is the situation. It is a very disappointing situation, but we have about time to do something to rectify this situation. But that is the general situation. That's why you don't see the difference so much. You don't see it because of this environment. It is destroyed. But I think with the Trump, things will start changing. Because it's the one who said, Africans, take these matters in your own hands. Maybe we can start rethinking. And what the sister told us, critical thinking, in Swahili is called fikra tunduizi. If we start thinking critically, I think we can then try to change this situation. Otherwise, the environment is so much destroyed that new things are not easy to be expected. Thank you.
Unajibu swali lako? Una hakika unajibu? Niko leta najibu sasa. Lakini umeandika sasa. Okay. Now let us bring this thing to a close. Back to so tomorrow I'll tell you about Nyerere's doctrine of state governance.
Good evening once again. God is good. And all the time. Before I welcome Father Honest Nguba, has something to say in short. And before welcoming Father Kaombe for a closing prayer, I would like to invite you to, for those who would like to get the publications of Father Titus, they will be here after this session. And one remarking this, these seminarians whom we see here have passed all the levels of studies, so it means that they are qualified and all the subjects were good for them, that's why they're here. So what I want to say is the use of language. So today, because it was not alerted, from tomorrow we shall be using English. The presenters should not feel mess on these scenarios because, don't worry, they can understand English. So I invite all of you to use English tomorrow. You are most welcome, Father, Reverend Father Honest.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would ask if please Miriams to remain after the closing prayer by even if at all we at least we get note of the voice of Professor Segej. At least to tell us, is it? How do you find it? Yeah. Just to greet us. Segej, just greet us.
The one of the challenges these people are saying, as from tomorrow it is English, so let me make use of today. I prepared my presentation in Swahili. I will have to struggle overnight. I hope I will manage to change that into English. Hakuna shida, sisi kwetu tunapotoka tunasema matata. Tumsifu Yesu Kristo. Ni faraja tu kuwasalimu, na najua mmeshaanza toka asubuhi mpaka saa hizi, siku itakuwa nzito. Tumshukuru Mungu, kesho pia ni siku nyingine. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana Profesa kwa salamu hiyo. Sasa hili swala la aidha Kiswahili au Kiingereza au nini, tutaona tuliangalia, kwa sababu watazamaji wetu wengi wanafahamu zaidi Kiswahili, na kwa kweli wengi wanafuatilia. Baba Kaumbe amenishirikisha hapo, kwa sababu wamekuwa wakimlalamikia, they've raised that issue. Please, maybe you may mix up, please, you deliberate in English, but you mix up also with Swahili, because we have our mamas and babas back home there, they are making a follow-up through the social media outlet. Is it? We shall discuss with the moderator. But actually, Frater was right. Frater alikuwa sahihi kabisa alichokisema, kwa sababu ndivyo tulivyokubaliana mwanzoni. So he stood up by the principle. Is it? Tulikubaliana hiyo kwa Kiingereza. Kwa hiyo yeye alikuwa sahihi. Sawa. Ila sasa mahitaji, si ndio? You have to start the local realities. The local realities na mahitaji yanaonyesha. Baba Kaumbe wanishirikisha kwamba waumini kule wanafuatilia sana na wamefurahia kweli tunachokifanya. Lakini sasa kwa wengine lugha ya Malkia wa Uingereza waifahamu vizuri. Walipenda kufanya enculturation. Sindio? Okay, good. Now may I welcome Father Kaumbe for a closing prayer, and once he finish, we shall usher out our presenters, but you remain here, I have something to share with you, okay? Father Kaumbe for a closing prayer.
This one.